On today's episode of the NASM CPT Podcast with me, Rick Richey, I explore the benefits of running the mile. The worst thing that a PE teacher could mandate, and maybe one of the best things at the same time, is the most easily accessible exercise available to many of the people out there. So, what are the benefits? What are the risks? And what are the intensity options of a mile per day? And how much rest should I take and all that stuff? We're going to explore that. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe, and leave a 5-star review. Now, pace yourself. Yeah. Here's the episode of Running the Mile.
You're listening to the NASM CPT Podcast with Rick Richey, winner of the Share Care Emmy Award for Social Storytelling and the official podcast of the National Academy of Sports Medicine.
Hey, y'all, and welcome to the NASM CPT Podcast. My name is Rick Richey, and today we're going to talk about the mile. The mile, it strikes fear in people from elementary school through high school, all those mandatory Fridays when the mile came around. At least it was at my school in Florence, Alabama. That's what we had to do. We had to run the mile. And the thing about running the mile is that there's so many people in the groups that were like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. And there were several of us who were like, I'm not as fast as that guy. But I mean, I'll do it. And it's kind of a miserable 7, 8, 9 minutes. But, you know, we ran the mile and got it over with. Here's the thing. I was thinking about that today. Like, what are the things that we used to have to do when we were young that if we just did that, not at full speed, not at full tilt, but we just decided to pick up and start doing some exercise. And a lot of people, it's easy to run because it doesn't cost any money. You just strap your shoes on, get some clothes that you feel comfortable on, and you can go outside. Now, provided you have a safe place outside to do that, then the world is your oyster when it comes to running the mile. And I think that we need to look into these options. So here's what I started doing. I wanted to get really into what does it mean for a mile? Like a mile a day. If we were to do a mile a day, what would end up happening to you, to your body, and to your health? And as I got into this, you know, it starts back with those physical activity guidelines. So let's get into a review of the guidelines. And we look at HSS. And these are 2018 guidelines that were put out that are still in place to this day, but they suggest for substantial health benefits, adults should do at least 150 minutes, that's 2 hours and 30 minutes, to 300 minutes, 5 hours, of moderate intensity exercise every week. Well, if I ran the mile, it certainly wouldn't add up to even the lowest number of that, 150 minutes. But if I ran it at a pace that would be challenging for me, then maybe it would fall into the next category, which is 75 minutes to 150 minutes of vigorous or intense aerobic physical activity. Well, if I'm running the mile, then that's probably going to put me there. In fact, if I were to just saunter the mile, then it may put me in the vigorous intensity category. So I look at these numbers and I think about, well, if all I do is a mile, And so I want to know this leisure time, when I go out for a run, what are the benefits? Well, here's one of the things that I found. I found that this leisure time running reduces all-cause and cardiovascular mortality risk. So if we look at the JACC, and I'll put the link to this inside of the podcast notes, the YouTube notes, wherever you're hearing, listening, seeing this. And this is a conclusion. It says running even 5 to 10 minutes a day at slow speeds, less than 6 miles per hour, it's associated with a markedly reduced risk of death from all cause and cardiovascular disease. This study is may motivate healthy but sedentary individuals to begin or continue running for substantial and attainable mortality benefits. What are you saying? 5 to 10 minutes a day, less than 6 miles an hour. is going to have a stark decrease in cardiovascular disease and all-cause mortality. All the bad things that can come from it. But it also says that you need to be relatively healthy. And I think that we should point out that there are some risks that go along with this. Some of the risks include joint pain. Now, you may not have joint pain. You start running, you may go, oh man, I feel that in my knees, I feel that in my ankles, I feel that in my low back. So I understand that that is a potential issue, especially depending on when you start in your life, how old your joints are. What does that feel like? But some of us are coming to it with already achy joints. So I've got some things that bother me. I got a hitch in my giddy up, so it makes it difficult for me to go for a run. Now, I will say this. Sometimes running can make it worse. And sometimes running can actually make it feel better. It's counterintuitive, doesn't make any sense, but that type of in running, I'm going to use right now with quotation marks. Going out for a run can include running, jogging, that real slow looks like you're running while still only walking. So jog walking, those are all part of it, but it can lead to things where it can stress the joints. It can lead to stress fractures, and that can be because of the impact. And if the bone mineral density has not developed and you're starting at a certain stage in your life, that, and even early on, the impacts just are, you're not prepared for them, then you need to make sure that you're taking this into consideration. But that also means you have to be careful on how many strikes into the ground you get. And it just may mean start slow. And the other thing, you'll see things like Achilles tendonitis, low back pain developing. But I think it's important to point out that, yes, there are some risks to it. But the good thing about it is that you feel them coming on. And so what I did when I started running a few years ago is I know my knee hurts. I know I have knee pain. I know I have arthritis in my knee. I know that in an x-ray that was taken not too long ago, this is my tibia plateau and this is my femur, and the medial side of that femur is touching, and the lateral side, there's a nice big gap in it. And so that cartilage that through a couple of surgeries from doing stupid things in my youth and then being active throughout the rest of the time and to my 47th year that I'm in right now, what does that mean for me? That means that sometimes running hurts. So when I picked up and started doing a little bit of running, I would just run. And then when my knee started hurting, I would stop running. And it got to a point that sometimes when I would run, I would feel totally fine, but then my knee would hurt a little bit or swell. And sometimes it would hurt significantly afterwards. So what did that mean for me? That meant that sometimes I would continue running, and then sometimes I would just say, it's not for me today, but I'm trying to find something else. Not that 3 miles, so I turned it down to a mile. Well, that mile bothers me. Am I adding something else in there? Now, I'm fortunate because I have a gym that I can go to, and I can find some other means of getting my heart rate up. I live in New York City, so I commute to work on a bike. And my gyms that I go to, there's one that's 3 miles away and another one that's about a little over 4 miles away. That's it. I ride my bike for 3 miles to get to work, ride my bike 3 miles back. That's a 6-mile bike ride. It's 20 minutes there, 25 minutes there, 20 minutes back. It's 30, 40 minutes of cardio. And it's not the same as running, because I'm going to tell you what, I can ride my bike and I can pick up the speed, but I'll slow it down, and I'm on wheels, so I'm not pushing that hard. But man, just to get one foot off the ground onto the next one when I'm running, then it just immediately spikes my heart rate. Well, what does that mean for me? That means that, and what does that mean for you? Well, it means that you and your clients, the people you work with, I can go into this and say, look, the mile isn't for everyone, but it is a really convenient, really easy way to get your cardiorespiratory fitness up. Well, how do we know that we can do that? I'm going to start and tell you after this. This episode of the NASM CPT Podcast is brought to you by NASM One. the membership for trainers and coaches. Members enjoy unlimited access to hundreds of career resources. Get the Edge app to schedule and program clients. Enjoy half off all certifications and specializations, access to free CEUs, and more. All of this for just $35 a month. Go to nasm.org/membership to learn more about NASM 1. All right, so I'm going to say, in order to start this, don't start at a mile a day running. You do a mile a day, yes, but let's walk first. Start by walking. Just get a mile in, and that can take maybe 15 to 20 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. Just set aside the time to go out. And then when you start to feel more comfortable, pick up your walking pace. And what that means is that you can then sometimes do some walking into fast walking, and fast walking sometimes is harder than actually like going into a jog. So if you've ever tried to speed walk, you don't understand how hard trying to speed walk actually is. We used to get on treadmills at the gym, and we would see how fast you can go speed walking. And I'm telling you, we wanted to make life easier by going into a jog, by moving into a run, because speed walking is very hard. And that was a challenge that somebody had given us that said you have to speed walk at this speed and maintain that for a certain amount of time. And all we wanted to do is pick up the pace and go for a run. So speed walking can be hard. So challenge yourself by picking up the speed of your walk and then moving into a jog. Now, here's a great piece of research that had intermittent walking and continuous walking. And this was what they had: 24 people total, 12 people continuously walking, 12 people interval walking. And they did 5 sessions a week, 60-minute sessions. Now, I know this is not the mile, but stay with me. And so what they would do is they took that walking group, and the adherence was pretty good, 94% adherence. The energy expended was 340 calories, and the intensity was pretty high, about 72%. No significant changes were shown in the outcomes of the continuous walking group. However, the intermittent walking group, even though they had more attrition, so 85% stayed with it versus 94%, energy expenditure per session was 360 calories as opposed to, 336 calories as opposed to 340. So same. Intensity percent total, 70% versus 72. But here's the difference. The significant changes in people who walked, and then when they got tired, they said, okay, now I can stop walking, but I'm going to pick up and walk at a more intense pace. They increased their VO2 max. There was an increased weight loss, increased a beneficial waist to hip ratio, less abdominal visceral fat, decreased HDL, decreased mean and max blood glucose concentrations. What does that mean? It means that if you can walk faster and then take a break when you need to, and then walk faster again, and you can move that into a run, then that's important. The takeaways here: increased intensity, even at a relatively low energy expenditure, at a 1-to-1 work to rest ratio, so they have 3 minutes on, 3 minutes off, had significant effects on fitness, on health, and on diabetes support. The continuous walking group likely did not walk any faster than a normal walking speed, resulting in minimal benefits. Now, it's nice to go out for walks, but an easy stroll isn't going to have as many benefits to it. You want to pick up the pace of your walking. In the intermittent walking group, it led to greater reduction in body fat, fat mass, and abdominal visceral adiposity than did the continuous walking group. Now, there's a high adherence and a low dropout rate for both groups. What does this mean? Well, it can mean a lot for your clients and the people that you work with. When you say, I want you to go out for a mile, and I want you to walk fast for half of it. Walk fast for 1 minute, and then take it down and just kind of chill and stroll, and then pick it back up and walk fast again. 1 minute. 1 minute on, 1 minute off, 1 minute on, 1 minute off. And then even if you're in the final minute and you see that you're getting close to the end, pick up that speed a little bit, because I always like to push when it comes to the end. Let's get across the finish line a little bit quickly. All right, cool. When you want to take the step to start running, Don't go so fast. Try not to go fast. Try to, in fact, purposely go slowly. And you don't have to run the whole time. And the research that we got with the walking, the jogging, I'm sure can apply still to the running and the not running. You're just taking it at a higher intensity than walking fast. And so my concern for you is that when you start taking this on, that we just want to be aware that you're not pushing yourself too much, but you're finding something that you can do. And that if you can find something you can do, make it easy enough to do it, but intense enough to get some benefit out of it. So it's not a stroll, but you may need to start out with a stroll just when it comes to building up the consistency and creating behavior change. I want the behavior change first. So if it's going out and stroll for a mile, that's great. And then pick up strolling and pick up the pace, and then intermittent, walk fast, walk slow, walk fast, walk slow. Move it into a jog and then chill, jog and then back down. And then see if you can make those jogs, those runs a little bit longer and a little bit longer until you can hit a mile. And even test yourself maybe one day a week, like we did in elementary school, middle school, and high school on the mile. What's the fastest that you can do it? And then take note of it. But right now, purposely go slow. I want you to go slow so that the next time you do a mile, you're going to get a new PR. And you track it. You put it down. I want to know what your PR is, and I want to know the date you hit it. And I want to see a list of all the days that you started. And every single day, because you're starting slowly, the next time you go out, you should be able to break it. Break that goal, set a new record. Break that goal, set a new record. But you're going to get to the point where you're really pushing yourself, and you're going to get a good number. It's going to take a few weeks to beat that number. Then it's going to take a few months to beat that number because you're pushing yourself and you're at your top level. And it's not a daily thing. But as I was looking this up, I came across something. It was really interesting. So it's called the daily mile. As I'm looking up what are the benefits of the mile, and let me go my PubMed research. And there was some PubMed research on the daily mile. And so I looked it up. And the Daily Mile is interesting. It's a company that encourages people in school and in organizations and corporations to just get a mile in a day at any pace. Your pace does not matter. Just get in a mile every day. And that daily mile, I think they're on to something. I'd probably like to actually speak to somebody from the Daily Mile and have them on the podcast and discuss this further, because I really like where they're coming from. So I want to pull up something that I found from them. I just thought was such a good benefit, and they're great with it because they're all about it, like walk before you go running and things like this. But this is what their focus is. The Daily Mile, inspired by successful children's movement aimed at ages 11 plus, can be done in secondary schools, workplace, universities, secure settings, retirement homes, colleges, and more. And I was like, man, this is such a great idea for a company and a great idea for workplace wellness organizations to try to implement, for schools to bring in. Like, let's just get a mile a day. But what is their goal? At any speed, whatever your pace is, just give it a go. Well, there's something you have to also pay attention to, is that, if you've got spine issues or joint issues or heart issues or lung issues, you should consult your physician before saying, hey, that's a great idea. I know I've got spinal stenosis and a spondylolisthesis, and I know I have a herniated disc, but listen to Rick say, go for a run, a mile a day. And that is not what I'm saying. Like, you have to listen to your body. You have to know what you have going on. And if you already have pre-existing conditions, you should probably talk to somebody about this. Now, chances are, for most of you that are listening, your clients are going to be able to implement this mile a day. Even if it's walking or wheeling, whatever it is, you will be able to do this. But to pick up the intensity, to pick up the speed, to get the heart rate up, but it also includes impacts into the ground. So you should be aware and you should be careful of that. Now, one of the other things that I think is important is recovery. So a daily mile sounds good unless you go out and you say, oh, I'm going to go run a mile, and you haven't done it in a while. And then you realize that you are sore 3 days later from the mile that you ran. Why? Because it's pretty intense. So as you hit the ground and your muscles, you're going to get this little jarring, a soft jarring in the body, and the muscles contract. When you hit the ground, the muscles contract. You're going to keep hitting the ground every time you take a step. And so that's an impact training. It's just something you're not used to. It's like when I go and hit golf clubs, I hit golf balls maybe once or twice a year, and with many years gaps in between them. And I pick it back up. Hitting a golf ball is not hard, but I am a sore after I do it because it's just something I don't do. So if you don't run, you're going to be sore after you go for a run. You pick up that intensity a little bit. You're going to feel that in your legs. That's why I say build up into it. Walk before you run. Jog. Go slowly. Do intermittent. I'm going to run for a little bit. I'm going to walk for a little bit. Run for a little bit. Walk for a little bit. Take it and pace yourself. But if you are sore from a run or from a workout, for those of you who are trainers that are like, oh, maybe I'll start doing a mile a day. That's great. But if you're sore in your body, you may want to sit this one out, especially if you are new to exercise and that feeling of soreness is an uncomfortable, unfamiliar place for you. Sometimes people that are very in tune with their body in the fitness world and been doing this for a long time, you lifted weights, you're going to go for a run, you're a little bit sore, you might feel actually even better after going for a run. So it all depends. Recovery is important. Your nutrition is important. You're going to go for a run. It is important that you have a good carbohydrate base to go through. And I know that we've got some people out there that are like, not me, man, I'm all carnivore. And I'm like, well, that's fine. Just know that carnivore is a different lifestyle. It's a different world, not suggesting it, but I'm also saying that it's not great for top-end performance. Now, I know that we're not going for top-end performance here. We're just trying to get a mile in. So you'll probably be okay too. But knowing that people's blood sugar are going to drop, also be careful for those of you who are especially insulin-dependent or medication-dependent diabetics, that you may want to take a little snack before you go out for a run, because what you don't want is to go out for a run and have your blood sugar drop because you just took your metformin or your insulin, and now you're far away from something without a candy or something sugary inside your pocket, and you're gonna have a hard time getting back home, and you're gonna be on the struggle bus, and I do not want you to be there. So just be aware. If you have something going on, this is why we say consult a physician, because they'll probably be the first ones to tell you. If you're going to go for a run and you're diabetic, make sure that you've got something sugary in your pocket in case your blood sugar drops. What does that mean for other? I don't know. I'm a lot more familiar with diabetes, being diabetic, than a lot of these other things. So I'm just saying, make sure you talk to your physician and make sure that you get this parsed out. Recovery is important. Your nutrition is important. Take the time for your body to feel better, but get out and go for a run. Take that mile a day. We see the benefits of it. We see that this all-cause mortality drops by people just 5 to 10 minutes a day. And they're not even going a mile. They're just doing the 5 to 10 minutes a day. And there's other content out there that talks about just doing a mile. Getting that pace in, all-cause mortality goes down. Cardiovascular disease goes down. The LDLs go down. And that's just the physical part. When we look at how people feel mentally, emotionally, we talk about people that emotionally aren't feeling well, depression and anxiety. We know that cardiorespiratory work helps them as well. And in some instances, can be as good as many of the medications for some people, then this is a great starting point for you. So if you're feeling a little gloomy, a little blue, then think about adding this into your program too. If it maintains, go see a mental health care provider as well, and maybe medications are right for you. But before they medicate, I love it when the physicians say, when the psychiatrists say, have you tried exercise? And many of them are prescribing exercise before they will prescribe medication. Something to think about when it comes to getting that mile in. Do not be scared of the mile. It is your pace. It is at your speed. You don't have to go fast, but practice getting out there. Practice incorporating it into your life. And if you can do that, you're probably going to make, let's go with it, strides in your health and wellness. Thanks for listening. Appreciate you being here. Like, subscribe, share with your fitness friends and family, and leave a review. That's really helpful for us to let other people find us, but also for us to know what's going on with you and your position when it comes to the podcast. Also, feel free to reach out to me. You can do so. Hit me up on Instagram at dr.rickrichy or email me rick.richey@nasm.org. Let me know your thoughts, questions, something topic that you want me to talk about on the podcast. I'm right here. So reach out to me. I appreciate it. Y'all keep inspiring people to fitness. Thanks for listening. This has been the NASM CPT Podcast.